Sukihontu and good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Dhamma Dana series brought to you by Buddhist Mahavihara Malaysia. Today's session is also live on TBCM Facebook. Do subscribe to our Facebook for more information. The topic for tonight is How to Live a Married Life According to Buddhism by Dr. Sumana Rathnayaka from Sweden. A brief background of Dr. Sumana. Dr. Sumana is from Sri Lanka. He studied at Kalaniya, Uppsala, Oxford, Lund and Peradeniya universities, and he had his doctorate in a subject called Mindfulness and Exploration Studies of Buddhist Meditation in Sri Lanka. He has wide experience in teaching Buddhism from basic to advanced classes, as well as undergraduate to postgraduate programs in various countries. Prior to his retirement in year 2019, he had worked for about 17 years as a senior lecturer in Pali and Buddhist studies at Peradeniya University. For being exposed to various Buddhist meditation traditions, he has also been conducting meditation retreats in several Asian and Europe countries since 1985. Without further ado, let's invite Dr. Sumana to join us for our live session. Good evening, Doctor, and welcome to our Dhamma Dana series today. Over to you now, Doctor.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm very grateful to all of you, to especially the committee and the community of the Buddhist Mahavihara, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I have been actually giving several talks at the Vihara. Maybe some of you have listened to me already since 1983. But recently, I gave a few talks through Zoom, as you have already organized. And I am very grateful to you all for inviting me to this talk, to this session as well. So the topic given to me, as you all know now, is how to live a married life according to Buddhism. Maybe some of you are not married. Some are maybe going to marry. Some of you have already experienced married life, and you might have already read a lot about how to live a Buddhist married life or married life according to Buddhism. As I know, Mahavihara organizes wedding ceremonies, registrations, and all these. According to Buddhism, it's a privilege for Buddhists, I think, to have a married life or just a wedding ceremony and a marriage registration at a Buddhist vihara like you all are familiar with. It's a blessing to have advice from monks, nuns, as well as Buddhist scholars, experienced teachers attached to the vihara for these particular aspects of life. It's very important. When you talk about married life in Buddhism, you talk about whole society in general. Because when we start our life as a small baby, we know we go, as a baby, we don't know anything, but we are welcome to the world. And we start as a single individual. We go to school, we are lulled by the mother, father, etc. And then we go to the studies and study. And then when it is time to get married, you prepare for it and you live a life of married life like that. Basic questions that we should ask ourselves when we live a married life or just life in general, according to the Buddha's teaching, we need to ask ourselves, do we recognize any loving kindness in us for others? Within our own practice, within our own way of living, do we have true loving kindness? Or else, how much loving kindness do we have for each other? So to be a successful person in a married life or a society in general, we need to ask this question: how honest we are to practice true loving kindness? And then we can ask ourselves how honest we are to find compassion for ourselves and others. How honest are we to appreciate each other? Appreciative joy, can we really find it honestly within us and within our way of living? And then we can ask the other question, final question: how harmonious are we to have equanimity, mental balance, equanimous way of living for us and for others? Especially for, when it is a couple, we need to ask for each other whether we truly practice this. Then we are not too late to start with such practices at any time of life. If we forget this one day, we need to remind us of the same following day and following moment and so on. We should continue with these sublime qualities to make any way of life to be successful. And having said this, you might have heard a lot of advice, a lot of pieces of advice given to married couples at the vihara or elsewhere. And these advice, pieces of advice, you find given to people quoting from the Buddha's teaching, quoting the teaching of the Buddha, where you find, for example, Sigalova the Sutta and Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita. These are related stories and also some other references you may find elsewhere. And in the Sigalova the Sutta, for example, society is analyzed into 6 groups, one of which is the married couple, husband and wife. The first being, it is compared with the 6 directions, because 6 directions were worshipped by some people as a ritual those days. So when Buddha noticed this, he wanted to give a new interpretation to it, to be meaningful, the 6 directions. So there you find East to be represented by the parents and children. South is represented by the teachers and the disciples or the students. The West represented by the husband and wife. The North represented by friends and acquaintances. And the downside is represented by the employers and employees. And the zenith, that is the upside, is represented by the monks and devotees, or the priests or the religious teachers and the followers. So these 6 groups embrace the entire society. So when we go to the third aspect of these directions, the gave the new interpretations related to the relationships between husband and wife. All these groups between each other should perform duties rather than fighting for rights. That is the important part of it. We easily fight for rights. We demand a lot from others. But our concern should be that as a practitioner of loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and mental balance, we should give priority to duties, whether we perform or do our duties for others. Then others will give us their duties as our rights, but we don't need to fight for our rights. The duties will be performed so that each other will receive the others' rights, or the rights from the others, as their performances of duties. So the rights are like rewards that we receive from others, but duties are prioritized and duties are concerned the most important. That is where loving kindness can be practiced. Otherwise, demands always will cause unrest. A fight, a demand So therefore, Buddha stresses the fact that we need to start with, and we should continue with duties, and not only 50%, but 100%. So this is very important. So going back to the case of the husband and wife performing duties towards each other, Buddha says there are 5 ways in which a husband should minister to his wife. That is considered to be, compared with the Western direction, as I said earlier. So how does a husband minister to his wife? It should be by honoring her, sammananaya in the Pali language, by honoring her. Second, by not disparaging her, avamananaya, not to condemn her, not to look down upon her, etc. And the third, by not being unfaithful. Not being unfaithful. There should be a loyalty between each other. This works from the husband side to wife, as well as vice versa. And fourth is by giving authority to her. By giving authority to her, will develop confidence. Issariya vasaggena, that is Pali. The fifth one, by providing her with adornments, ornaments, and that is also a duty that a husband should perform towards wife. These are just, though limited to certain themes and subjects and words, they should be, practicable by interpreting as it suits to each other's way of life, each other's way of time. And, then there are 5 ways in which a wife, thus ministered to by her husband, will reciprocate. The word in the Pali is anukampati, reciprocate. That is expressed out of compassion, out of a welcoming, way, by properly organizing her work. It's called susangvihita kammanta hoti. That is properly organizing her work. Should be done by husband, or else together. By being kind towards, relatives, any helpers, servants, whoever are together with that family, they should be supported, well supported. They should be, a wife should be kind to them. Of course, that works for husband as well. And this is, of course, duties from a husband. By not being unfaithful, the same as the wife was faithful, husband should also be faithful. By protecting stores, that means whatever earned by the family, or especially in this case, it is said in the sutta, the husband, it should be protected by the wife. It should be looked after well. And number 5 is by being skillful and diligent in all she has to do. In this case, a wife should be skillful in whatever she has to do. So this way, I was actually looking at the Sigalavada Sutta at this moment, just to see how these duties are listed. So these duties are to be interpreted in such a way that it suits each family, so that one can understand the openness, loving kindness behind all these, compassion behind this, appreciative joy that one can benefit from behind all these qualities, and mental balance that we maintain and enjoy for the sake of harmonious way of living. And the other particular story related to Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita, these are the characters in Buddhist history. They are the ideal married, ideal people who lived a harmonious married life during the Buddha's time. So you find a lot of references to Nakula. If you refer to Nakula Mata or Nakula Pita in the Anguttara Nikaya, and also there are some stories related by venerable monks like when Arahant Anuruddha. So in the Anguttara Nikaya, if you turn to page number 1182, translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi, the whole Anguttara Nikaya, and there you find a lot of references about qualities of a woman, for example, how beneficial the qualities, the good qualities that a woman develops for the harmonious married life and also harmonious life for herself and for her family. Uh, in this case, of course, it is said like a woman rises for her husband, retires after him, undertaking, whatever needs to be done, agreeable in her conduct and pleasing in her speech. These words and these expressions are there related to the development of a character of a wife. She honors, respects, esteems, and venerates those whom her husband respects, like husband's relatives, mother, father, ascetics, and other monks and nuns who visit the family or just living in the neighborhood, wherever they go to, pay homage to. You find it's important that both agree to perform their rituals understandingly, and the woman must be skillful and diligent in attending to her husband's domestic chores. That means tasks. Whatever the husband is involved in, it should be supported in a agreeable manner, harmonious manner by the wife, and she finds out whatever husband's domestic helpers, whether they are helpers or messengers or workers, whoever else are there supporting the family or just having associations with the family. So she finds out what the husband's domestic helpers are, and if there are any duties to be performed for them, such things should be fulfilled and looked after by the woman and by the wife. And this way it goes on to say, several more aspects. And finally, you find taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. These are to be practiced, and she should be virtuous, of course, just like the husband, and she should be generous, etc. So that a woman's duties are done in such a way harmony will be developed in the married life. So there are several other discourses like Nakula Pita, Nakula Mata Suttas in the Anguttara Nikaya, and I'm not going to focus on all these discourses. Let me just take one or two aspects connected to the subject that we are now talking about. In another context, you find in the Anguttara Nikaya, husband and wife should understand that they are living, they live together just as a kind of understanding couple. If they have chaos, if they have problems and conflicts and disputes, then Buddha would suggest that they live a wreck living together with a wreck. That means a kind of unfortunate one. Chavo is the Pali word. Chavo chavaya sadding samvasati. That means a wreck lives together with a wreck. It's not a happy, fortunate life. Another is a wreck living together with a female deva. So wreck is just unfortunate one. And if he being unfortunate, if he happens to live with a female deva, of course, it is not a very harmonious life either. A deva living together with a wreck, that is unfortunate one. That is not balanced life either. So the fourth aspect is what is recommended, like a deva living together with a female deva. Deva is divine being. So the human married life is this way compared with even divine way of living, divine life, if they live a happy married life. So all these, what is called happiness, happiness depends on how honest they are towards each other, how true their compassion is, how honest they practice loving kindness towards each other, how honestly they appreciate and have appreciated joy between each other, and how mental balance they practice for the good of the whole family and for the good of children and all others. So this way, you find, married life should be based on these sublime qualities. Otherwise, what happens is that we'll be easily governed by selfish, self-centered attitudes. When we have self-centered attitudes, it will not be a peaceful life. So it's very important, and also it is meritorious and wholesome. To live a married life in a harmonious way is a meritorious way of living, is a kusala way of living. Then these the meritorious merits that we accumulate through such a way of performing duties for the good of each other, practicing sublime qualities for each other, will be causing happy life here as well as hereafter. So that is the advantage recommended in Buddha's teaching. So when we, talk about performing duties, we might not think that it is a merit or a kusala, wholesome thing. But always you find in Buddhism, this is karmically, ethically very important, that we perform duties for each other is meritorious. When you do something meritorious, when you do something for the good of society, even though it is paid by another person or by government or whatever, your work is meritorious because you do something good for others, do something good for yourself and others. We can never match, we can never compare money with duties. Duties are always an exceptional quality that we can perform. And that gives us merit and meritorious, results. And while talking about married life, I remember I was listening to Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, one Vietnamese monk, I well known, I think, in the Buddhist world especially. And he was having a very good dialogue with Oprah Winfrey in America. And he was telling how to settle or leading to a settlement of an unrest, a quarrel, a misunderstanding, a misbehavior of a partner, and how to live a harmonious life uh, as a couple, as a partner. So Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, for example, as a well-known Vietnamese monk, of course, he passed away recently. He used an allegory in his dialogue, in his discussion. Oprah Winfrey asked Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh whether his practice includes any mantras. So the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh says, of course, yes, there are mantras. So he wanted to just elaborate a mantra. He said, no, I'll tell you 4 mantras. So this is very much directly addressing a married life. So especially, when we live with others, one partner having some problems from the other or one partner addressing the other, we need to have this sort of mantra, so to say. It's not a mantra, of course, it's an allegory to say it gives a message which tells us how to remember these practices. So the practices are when Bhattisthan says The first mantra is, darling, I am here for you. The best you may offer to someone you love is your true presence. How can you love if you are not there? That is his first question and first mantra. See how meaningful it is. So all the discourses like Sigalava Sutta, Nakula Mata, Nakula Pita stories, and all these references are summarized into four mantras in this case, as I understand it. So I'm very grateful to Dr. Venerable Tishitan for these offers. So the first being, darling, I am here for you, is a very, appealing expression from somebody. Then the confidence will develop. So it's a true offer of a presence of somebody's honest practice of loving kindness. And the second, darling, I know you are there. I am mindful and recognize truly your presence. And I am so happy that you are there. And this is the second mantra as Thich interpreted. So this tells us they support each other by being present, truly present from each other's heart, from each other's, way of being present. So this will bring happiness to each other, bring happiness to her as well as him. So it will bloom like a flower, when Bhattacharya says. So this is the way that one should benefit from simply by expressing honest, true love between each other. So the third mantra, he says, when your beloved one is not happy and suffers, then the third mantra is offered, darling, I know you suffer. That is why I am here for you. This is a very useful expression again. So the presence, true presence again, when when the beloved one, the other partner, is in trouble, is not happy, he suffers or she suffers, then we need to remember that we understand each other's suffering. And we need to honestly express that, tell that this is why I am here for you. And the fourth one, when Bhattacharya says, is a difficult stage because the beloved one is a little bit angry or hurt because it is caused, but the problem is caused by you, by the partner. Then, being alone in her own room or his own room, he or she may express, darling, I suffer. I try my best to practice. Please help me. So this way, you invite help from the other, and that gives us a harmonious background. And this is very useful so that you can be open. In such cases, you are open. So the married life, according to Buddhism, referring to Venerable Tishitan's four mantras or Sigalavada Suttas giving priority to duties, we should understand what we should do for the other. We should also test ourselves whether we demand anything. If there is any demand for rights, we cannot expect any harmony. We can always see what duties are to be performed from our side. Because it is a meritorious thing. It is a kusala. It's a quality that we can do. And even this well-known couple in history of Buddhist, culture, as I said earlier, Nakula Mata and Nakula Pita, when they grew old, they went to see the Buddha once and wanted to express their happy experience of living together for such a long time. And they said in front of the Buddha, because they had sama saddha. Sama saddha means true, same faith for each other. same confidence for each other, and also they had same sort of virtue for each other. Their quality, moral qualities they practice for each other. And samachaga, that is, they have the generous feeling, the same generosity from each other, even towards others. And samapanya, that is same wisdom, same way of understanding. So this way you find in the teachings of the Buddha or Buddhist culture some such stories as good examples for us to benefit from. At another incident, Buddha heard that now Nakula Pita, that is the householder, he was very old now. He's going to die, or else he's very feeble. Then Nakula Mata is there nearby. They had a very nice discussion, very meaningful conversation between each other. So they said, just look at our history. We have been living a harmonious life. We have been concerning with each other, for each other. But now, Nakulapita is going to actually uh, die, perhaps, but he was very feeble and very old. And then Nakulamata was telling, if you are just, if you are not practicing letting go, if you are not practicing letting go, you have a lot of concerns. And Buddha does not advise you to die like that. Be peaceful, have a harmonious mind, let go of anything whatsoever, because you lived a harmonious, happy life. You have done a lot of duties from your side. And therefore, Nakula Mata, the mother of the what we call housewife, was helping husband to be in a harmonious way of mind, have a balanced mind, mental balance. She supported. So this way they supported each other towards various hardships in their life. So they reported this quality to the Buddha several times. When when husband, especially Navalapita, when he was about to die, he was concerned. He might be concerning that after he is gone, Nakulamata will be left alone, will not be practicing well, will not have the same moral practice, etc. Then Nakulamata tells, Nakulamata is the wife, of course, and she says, when you are gone, don't worry. I've been practicing well, and I will continue practicing well. If anybody in society has doubts about my practice, let them ask the Buddha. Buddha, being fully enlightened, he would tell how I have been. I'm so honest, and I'm truly practicing. So she was honest, and she knows with confidence that even society will get the right message from the Buddha and from the Venerable Mahasangha, etc. So this way of confidence is so important for a married life. So when we now talk about married life, according to Buddhism, if we summarize all what we said, duty should be prioritized rather than rights. When I say rather than, it doesn't mean rights should be taken into consideration at all, because rights are like rewards. Rights will be won, not that we demand for rights. So that is the important message from the teachings of the Buddha. So we should prioritize duties. And when duties are done from each other, based on loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and mental balance, then we are not governed by any selfish, self-centered way of life or concepts. So we always become free, and we enjoy the qualities that we can maintain as a married person. So this way, I think we can leave some time for questions as well if you have. But continuing along the same line, you find a lot of discourses in the whole teachings of the Buddha connected to married life. In general, whole society is dividable into several groups, and all these groups should be having some priority, having some way of performing duties for each other, and that way one will live a life, not only married life, of course, life in general in harmony. So this way, I have spent, I think, about, yeah, let me see, 35 minutes. 35. I'm asked to talk about 45 minutes altogether. Uh, Even we can let some others have some question time if you want more time for questions, or else we can reflect on some more facts about you know way of life as a married life, so that we reflect on the best, the way, the good, sublime way of living as a married couple. So this with this reflection, let me briefly conclude my talk, maybe little earlier, like without taking the entire time given, so that I can leave some more time for questions. So there are some more similes, of course, that I can add if you like. Like when you are married, you might hear that fire is compared with trouble. Inside trouble should not be spread outside. Outside trouble should not be spread inside. We should not bring outside fire into the, into one's own house. And inside fire should not be spread outside. Fire is compared with trouble, and that people gossip about. So these things we should be always remembering, and we should have in our mind when we want to live a happy married life. Life in general, of course, should be supported always with this, concern of Buddha's teaching, because Buddha's teaching entirely is nothing else but a development of the heart, the emotional, and the intellectual, the head. So, if you know how to find a balance between the head and the heart, the emotional and the intellectual, there you find these qualities, compassion and wisdom. As I said, the four sublime qualities should be honestly bring into practice, and we should ask always ourselves how mindful we are of all these, how truly compassionate are we for ourselves and for others, so that we live a meaningful life based on these sublime qualities. I think with these notes, may I conclude my simple talk on how to live a married life in Buddhism. I would like to invite you all to listen to this particular video recording by Venerable Tistan and Winfrey, Oprah Winfrey, which gives us a lot of meaningful, qualities to be practiced and to remember for the good of our own life. And may you all benefit from these reflections. May you all live a harmonious life. May you all develop sublime qualities for the good of your own life as well as for the others. May you be well and happy. In questions, if there are any questions for us to reflect on, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Doctor, for the sharing for tonight. We shall continue with our Q&A sessions.
Nowadays, both women and men are working, but woman still cleans the houses, preparing dishes, etc. Yet, man doesn't help much, despite highlighting to husband. How to solve this issue? Yes, that's a good question. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is the way of modern society as well as society in the past. Sometimes, one partner has to do more than the other. Uh, but of course, when we have a discussion, when we wisely discuss between each other based on compassion, based on a selfless way of thinking, we cannot expect one to demand more because we conserve 100% duties rather than any rights from the other side. Maybe husband does less than wife. Maybe wife does more than less than even husband. Even then, if we really truly understand the qualities, the more you do, the better for you if you do it mindfully and with loving kindness. So, this is what Buddhism gives as a message. If we just compare the external workload, you do little. I think in the Western world too, this problem is there, especially where I am living now. I know people always talk about rights, 50-50 rights. When husband cooks, a wife should wash the dishes. If the wife cooks, husband should wash the dishes. And this fight or this way of demand is going on all over the world. Even though you don't speak about it in secret, you find such fights are there in the mind as long as we are governed by our selfish way of thinking without having compassion, loving kindness, and such other qualities, sublime qualities. I think we should remember that we always should give priority to duties so that we are not worried about how much less the other partner does. Thank you. Did the Buddha give lay followers advice for married couples on taking care of their children? Yes, of course, especially disabled children with special needs. Thank you. There is no special concern about disabled people, but of course, children are children, though they are disabled or not disabled. If they are children, the parents have the duties towards them. As I said in the Sigalovada Sutta, the second direction is compared with the first direction, east, is compared with the parents and children. It doesn't mean parents should have their own rights, children having nothing. It is, parents performing duties for the good of children. At the same time, children should perform their duties for the good of children, for the good of parents. If the children are disabled, it's parents' duty to make plans, prepare the ways and means to help them. And that is out of compassion. And that is a meritorious deed. Actually, it is a way through which one will learn how to develop one's compassion. Buddhism tells always suffering gives us confidence, saddha, dukkhopanisa saddha. That means going through suffering, you learn a lot. If you just suffer without learning anything from your suffering, it's not wise, it's not useful. So Buddha's suggestion is, learn through suffering. The entire path, even beyond, lay life, beyond married life, you talk about the spiritual life. The spiritual life is totally based on understanding suffering. Understanding suffering is not suffering any longer. Understanding is a transformation, and it's a transformation of, cognitive transformation. cognitive transformation, because suffering is understood, so it's understanding that matters, knowledge that matters. It's like medical students studying pathology. When you study pathology, you don't say that it is suffering. You study about illnesses. Pathology means that you study about illnesses. So while studying illnesses, you don't suffer from it, because it's a knowledge that you accumulate so that you can help others diagnosing others' illnesses and so on. So this way, Buddhism also suggests, although it is a married life, if you know that there is suffering between, a misunderstanding, or between that you are not in harmony with each other, that suffering gives us confidence, because we have gone through something, something that you experience, so that you enrich your experiences. So that knowledge gives you a turning point, and that is something to be appreciated in the Buddha's teaching. So in the case of disabled children, uh, parents should take up that as a suffering, as a fortune in disguise, because they are given the chance for them to practice compassion, for them to practice mental balance, so that they are not, they understand how selfish they are sometimes, but this tells us, this will challenge them. No, selfishness will not do. It is compassion that matters. It is compassion that is needed in this case. If they practice compassion, they benefit from compassion. So they are, in disguise, you find benefiting from the way of suffering, from what is given to them. So this way, disabled children should be taken care of along that line. They should be, of course, well taken care of according to what is available in modern society. Otherwise, you can be creative and also manage your way of life, uh, and see how to help each other, help children. Although you don't especially benefit from the disabled children, just like you benefit from other children, you need to, develop your compassion, loving kindness, etc., so that children will be well looked after and well brought up. It's a merit for you. It's a wholesome quality for you. In Buddhism, nothing is there which is practically meaningless. Everything is meaningful practically, and ethically, edifying. Ethically, you improve along with what you practice. Thank you. Yes, how is the Buddhist view of divorce in the modern context? Yes, Buddhist divorce is also concerned along the same line based on these qualities. Sometimes, you might make mistakes. It may happen that one partner goes wrong, or else one partner has that sort of suggestions, because of whatever reason it may be, that they would like to have a divorced life. But this is suffering. This gives pain to each other. So this needs a lot of consultation, like a lot of consultation of counseling. You can listen to others, you can listen to your friends, listen to your adults, advice you can take from monks, and this way you can just benefit from uh, such aspects also. So divorce is not something unnatural. It is understandable, it is possible, but it is not going to be the end of life. That should be kind of another point of life. So we need to accept what comes. You know, divorce is one point of departure, and another point of departure you expect as the departure from your life. We can't just stop it. you know we cannot live together continuously. Sometimes, depending on, one partner may lose his or her life. Then what happens? We need to prepare our mind to accept, otherwise we just go on suffering and we don't benefit from it. I remember when Baltistan answering such a question at the end of his discussion, what happens to you when you die? I mean, I don't compare death with divorce, but of course, divorce is one type of death. One partner goes away from you. That means it's a kind of separation and departure. And whenever Tijnan compares a moment like death is like a cloud. Cloud is there and it disappears after a while, but it doesn't disappear forever, into nothing. It will be like water, it will be ice, it will change into another cloud, and so on. It continues like that. So the life is of that nature. When you divorce or when you die, you continue as another partner or as another way of life, but you should not forget your human qualities, human values. Although you divorce, you should love each other. Love in a way that even departed couples can love each other. Love in the sense, not physical, attachment you have, but you have compassion. You wish each other peace, harmony, and happiness. You wish each other success. That is a noble quality that you practice within you. So divorce is understood along that line, so that one accepts separation, one accepts changing nature, what one can practice letting be, letting go, so that one practice compassion not only selfishly, as a partner belonging to you, but you can practice even letting be, letting go, so that you practice relinquishment in a deeper sense. But so this is the way that we should understand about divorce, as Buddha referred to the way of practice in Buddhism. Thank you. What is the best way to communicate when one can't understand another and don't change, which resulting frequent quarrel? Yeah. Please practice this, 4 ways of mantras. You need to practice. I mean, as Venerable Tistan says, although others don't accept, we need to have communications, we need to have dialogues, we need to have, kind of a sacrifice. We can't expect others to agree with every point that we suggest. It is not possible. So other partner can disagree. So then what is the agreement that you can come up with? Normally we selfishly think that other partners should accept all what I do, all what I think, what I plan. It's not going to happen. So always it is important when you begin to marry somebody, is a way of sacrifice. You sacrifice your demands completely, your selfish way of thinking completely, so that you will live in harmony with others. That means you have the way of giving. You practice a way of giving in a meaningful way. It's a generous practice, because we don't demand our opinions to be always the case. Our opinions can change. Other partner can refuse my opinions. Then I have to listen to other partner. We have to listen to each other. This way, listening to each other, agreeing with the points agreeable to each other, and so letting be, letting go should be practiced even such cases, so that we still become happy that I don't have anything to call that it is mine, it is my own things. Buddhism basically guiding us to give up what is mine. What is mine is ownership. That is tanha. That is craving. Whenever what is mine is going on, maybe it is your opinion, it is your ownership, it is your bodily action, or a kind of something that you own, and all that creates ownership, which is that belongs to you, that is craving, that is ownership. And whatever ownership comes, you have tanna behind. And then you find I conceit is produced. I am being born. What is I am being born. I am is always avidya. Avidya is not understanding properly, is not understanding the true way as things really are. So we are away from reality when we create I conceit. So mine and I. Mine is connected to craving, I connected to avidya, both creating suffering at the end. Understanding this complex situation gives us insight. And insight we can always become in harmony with, and we enjoy that insight within us. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for all the questions from our audience. Um, on behalf of the monk and management of Mahavihara, we would like to thank Doctor again for his time and sharing his Dharma knowledge with us. We would also like to express our gratitude to all our sponsors for their kind donations and all our audience for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone, and have a pleasant evening. Suki
Good night.
Hanchu.
Suki Ho, may you be well and happy. Thank you very much indeed.